Welcome back to the channel. My name is Gio and this is my 2025 Toyota Land Cruiser. We will be doing a 5-tire rotation, an oil change, and inspecting the aftermarket magnetic drain plug that I put in on the last oil change. With that, we'll see if it was worth it or not to run it or just run the factory one. So we'll see that in just a second, but we're going to do a 5-tire rotation based off of what the owner's manual states. And we will be resetting the TPWS because it actually knows where each tire is at. So you have to reset that to prevent any tire light on the dash. Anyways, let's get to it. If you've watched my channel at all, you know that we have done a oil change at 500 miles, 2,500 miles, and now at 5,000 miles, which my regular maintenance interval will be 5,000 from here on out. But we did a few break-in oil changes just to make sure we got all of the metal debris out of the oil. Now, people can say what they like about that, but that's what I chose to do on my Land Cruiser. Anyways, if you flip to the owner's manual, this is going to be the tire rotation and how they explain it for the 5-tire rotation. If you look up 4x4 5-tire rotation images online, there's all kinds of ways to do it, but this is from the owner's manual. So I'm not disputing that. You can do whatever you want to your Land Cruiser, but this is what we'll be doing today. It states to make sure that the power switch is off, because if the tires are rotated with the switch on, the position will not be updated. If it's accidentally done, you can still reinitialize it, but just be sure to turn it off and make your life a little bit easier. Back here, it's going to tell you the tire pressure, and flipping over to page 640. See if we can get there with one hand. Oh, actually 642. 637 is what I was looking for. This is going to tell you the tire pressure for the tires and wheels that you're running. In my case, we are on the 265 70 18s, and we're going to be running 33 all the way around, including the spare, and 97 foot-pounds on the lug nuts. So keep that in mind when you're redoing your application. It's actually looking like it's the same on all, so I don't know why they wasted that in the book, but hey, we're going to do that on ours, and we'll start by dropping that spare down. Now, if you're wondering why we had a towel on the bottom of the seat, it's because my wife is due to give birth any day now, and I don't want the water breaking if she's driving the vehicle. So we've got a towel there, and from here we're getting out the spare tire tools to drop that sucker. So the spare tire kit has 3 individual sections. So this is going to be the first, the second, and the third. The screwdriver was kind of just sitting up here around the top, so we're going to be sure to put that all back in the same spot. And in order to access the point for the spare, you're just really going to pop this out and wedge that tool way deep in there. So here's the spare tire tool. I'm just showing you how it's set up. You put that hook way deep in there and it finds the pocket. So left is going to lower, right is going to raise. Then you've got this little plastic piece where it goes into the lug nut holes and into the center. And let me just take this out so you can see it. So this piece just holds the wheel up like that. So you're dropping it in, letting it hang, and then when you lift it, it'll recenter itself. And obviously make sure that the wheel contacts the mounting pads. There's some back here, mainly that one right there, and that one over there. And now we got the full-size spare out. We can go ahead and get this thing jacked up and put on the jack stands, just to make it a little bit safer for that oil change and tire rotation. All right, this thing is jacked up. You could this one looks like it's touching the floor, but it's actually up off the ground. What I did was a 2-jack method in the front, but before I did that, I lifted the rear right off the center right here, and then I put a jack stand just on each side. That way we got the rear up, then the front is supported. I do have the Pro Eagle jack lock on the Harbor Freight jack, in case this one goes down, which I have way more faith that that would never do that. But also that one has the extended neck, so if it were to come down, it's not getting anywhere near to touching the floor. I do have other jack stands, but this is safe. There's nothing wrong with this setup. So we'll go ahead and get the tires taken off. And I forgot to mention, prior to doing any jacking, I used a 21 millimeter socket on a hand ratchet, broke all the lug nuts loose, and we're going to just take them off with the impact. I just don't like running a gun on the lug nuts to break the torque, but taking them off the threads is not a big deal at all. So we'll go ahead and get that done right now. Again, we are doing what the owner's manual says. So we'll be rotating front and rear, and then we'll jump on over to the passenger side. I like to lay the tires out knowing exactly where they need to be, so I could just throw them on and tighten the lug nuts down. So this side's done. This will be the new spare. Just leave that here. This will now go to the front. And the spare will now be the right rear. So all we have left to do is throw these on, torque them to 97 foot-pound, and set the tire pressure. So before I put this thing up under the truck, I wanted to check the tire pressure. The owner's manual and the door tags state 33 PSI. And you know what? I always thought that this thing felt pretty rough when we bought it, and I never checked the tire pressure just because that was supposed to be done from the factory, or at least at the dealer. But man, this thing's running 42 PSI. And just to be sure, I got my digital ARB and I'm getting 40. So it's very close between the two. I'm just gonna base it off the ARB, but we're gonna go ahead and let some of the air out of this thing so we can get it down to 33 like it should be. There we go, 33, just like it should be. Last but not least, I just noticed this while I was putting the air, but we need to take off that center cap and put it on the previously mounted spare, and that way this one has the opening for that part to drop into. And also a little tip, while you have this thing all apart, you can pop off all the center caps that were sloppily thrown on and put them with the logo facing the valve stem the way God intended. Now that the OCD has been satisfied, let's go ahead and get these things mounted up. So I'm not going to bore you with a how-to video on doing an oil change. I've already done that, and I'll link it on, or I'll put it on the top right of the screen in case you want to watch it. It shows you the whole process, but this is just to see if the magnetic oil drain plug catches anything and if it's worth it. So just a little science project. If not, I'll throw the factory one back in. While that drains out, let's check and see if this thing caught anything. Oh wow, looks like it did. See all that stuff right there? Now, again, like I mentioned it in the other videos, this is just metal shavings on pretty much a new engine, which is normal. But it's still cool to see that it caught stuff. You see right here, wiped off. It's just all in the towel now. It's not really chunks of metal. So all those little shavings actually got through the oil filter, and the magnetic drain plug was able to catch it. So I'll link this thing in the description. I feel like for such a cheap cost, it's really a good extra insurance, if you will, for your engine, just to last that much longer. So everyone's gonna have their opinions on stuff, but I feel like this is worth it, especially at such a cheap entry point, and I'll definitely recommend it to anyone in the future. I do run it on my S2000 and my Tacoma. Those don't really catch much. It's maybe just a little less than this, but again, this is a brand new engine. This is the 5,000 mile engine oil service. So it's going to catch some stuff until that engine's been flushed after quite a bit of usage, but we'll get this thing cleaned up, get a new gasket put on, a new oil filter, and finish up this oil change. So in the time lapse, when I put the wheels on, I just nip them up very lightly with the impact. I don't go crazy on it because I don't want to damage the lugs, and I'm just not a fan of gunning things on. So we've got this big old torque wrench, and we're going to go ahead and torque all of the wheels to the factory spec. Okay, last thing we need to do is reset the tire monitor since we rotated it. And if you need to see how to reset the oil interval, I did that in the oil change video, so go ahead and watch that. But this one, we're just gonna go ahead and start. So we'll also need to reset the maintenance required light. That is basically telling us that we need a tire rotation. But right here, we'll go ahead and go to settings, hit OK. Then we'll go to vehicle settings. Then we'll go down to TPWS. Select tire rotation. Hit OK. And for this, it actually requires that you drive. So let's go ahead and drive around 25 miles per hour. So this last part is super annoying. You basically need to go through these steps like I showed you on the cluster, but you need to drive straight around your neighborhood at around 25 miles an hour for 10 to 30 minutes. Mine took me all of 30 minutes. When you finally successfully complete it, you'll get a notification on the cluster, and also your tire pressure will be displayed. If you have not completed the procedure, your tire pressure won't be displayed. So that last step is super annoying, but you got to do it every tire rotation. My plan is every 5,000. So every 5,000, I'm going to have to waste about 30 extra minutes after a tire rotation just to get that maintenance reminder light set on the dash. Anyways, thanks for watching. Check out my other videos if you haven't. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.